There's a major crisis going on within the Bitcoin network right now that no one is talking about. That crisis is Bitcoin inheritance planning. What we're seeing right now is that as more baby boomers age out of the market, more and more of their Bitcoin is being lost because they didn't have any adequate planning. They had one wallet, but they didn't leave clear instructions. And again, no one can get access to that Bitcoin. And even worse, some folks don't even know that their family members had Bitcoin at all. So that Bitcoin is adding or is being added to the pile of Bitcoin that is already lost or we don't have access to, which is approximately 4 million. So our numbers estimate that over the next 10 years or so, based on this current trend, we can see an additional 500,000 Bitcoin removed from circulation just from bad planning. Not hacks, not theft, not any, lost keys or anything like that, but just simply bad inheritance planning. And it's so simple to fix. But I looked all over online and I did not see any standard process and procedure for how to protect your Bitcoin, not for just today, but for future generations. And if you're holding Bitcoin, that means you care about it and you believe in it and you believe that it's going to survive and last for multiple generations. And that's a big gap in the market that no one is talking about. We're always talking about price. We're always talking about who's coming into the market. Are the institutions coming into the market? We're asking, are they going to ban it? But if we made that decision to hold this asset, shouldn't we do everything we can to protect it? My name is Fitz. My name is Fitzgerald. And over the past 10 years, I've spent over 12,000 hours studying Bitcoin. I started off studying blockchain, I merged over to Bitcoin, and since then I've been educating people on Bitcoin. I've hosted conferences, I've hosted local meetups, I've created courses, I've done OTC trading, I've done a lot within the Bitcoin space. And what I'm about to share with you over the next few minutes is a framework that comes from those 12,000 plus hours that I've been involved with Bitcoin, and it's going to help you protect your Bitcoin, not just for today, but for the next few generations. This framework is super simple, and once you hear it, maybe take some notes, but once you hear it and you get the hang of it one time, you'll be able to pass this down for generations and you'll never lose a single Satoshi. In fact, inside of the comment section or inside of the description section, I created a document that goes over this same exact framework completely free just for you guys to make sure that you guys are protected and you don't lose any of your precious Bitcoin. So this framework is based on an acronym from the word KEEP, K-E-E-P. It's an acronym that we got from just saying, hey, we need to keep our coin safe. So KEEP stands for keep it secure, establish legal protection, ensure access, and plan for the future. And I'll go over each one of those and how to implement each one of those inside of your Bitcoin protection plan. So let's get started. The first stage or the first phase in the protection plan is keep it secure. If you hold Bitcoin, you've probably heard of multi-signature wallets. Multi-signature wallets mean that instead of depending on a single wallet or a single person to send a transaction, you actually have that private key or you have multiple private keys involved in the transaction in order for that transaction to be pushed through. So for example, I have a wallet and I may have a key to that wallet. My wife may have a key to that wallet and my attorney might have a key to that wallet. In order for that wallet to send any transaction, two of us have to agree to send that coin. So if we're not in the same place, we'll hop on a video call and make sure everything is on the up and up. And then two of the three people that hold keys to that wallet will actually be able to validate that transaction. What that does is it reduces any type of theft. If someone steals a phone or something with some Bitcoin on it, or someone gets kidnapped, they can't be forced to send a transaction, or maybe someone passes away, unfortunately, and they hold a key, you still have those other two keys that give you access to your wallet. Now, what we're seeing is that when you have more significant holdings, you actually want to go to a 3 out of 5 signature. That means you have 3 people, you have 5 people who hold private keys to the wallet, and you need 3 signatures, or you need 3 people to approve a transaction before you can send a transaction from that wallet. Now, in addition to protecting your wallet by having 3 to 5 different people, you need to have 3 devices. And in fact, I kind of skipped to this a little bit, but before I should have told you guys about this before, but this falls under what we call the 3-3-3 rule. 3 people, 3 devices, 3 places. We've already gone over the 3 devices. Let's get started with that. The first device you want to have is a hardware wallet. A hardware wallet, physical device that is not connected to anything online. Our favorite hardware wallet is Trezor. Trezor has been around for a long time. They've stood the test of time. They have open source software so people can look at their code and make sure nothing funny is going on. The second hardware wallet that you want to have is actually a backup hardware wallet. You can have another Trezor, or if you want to be extra secure, get another wallet that may be a different brand so you can diversify your risk a little bit. But we've seen claims of people who have had ledger wallets and they've died over the years, or they couldn't turn back on or something. So we like to stick with Trezor. Now, the third hardware that we want to use for storage is actually not an electronic device at all. It's actually a metal card or a steel card. And that steel card will have your seed phrase, your recovery seed phrase stamped into it, and it's fireproof, it's waterproof. So even if a house catches on fire, it drops over the edge of a boat, it still maintains its integrity. And as long as you can find that card, you'll be able to have access to that key. Now, the third element of the 3-3-3 rule is the 3 places. The first place that you want to make sure that you have your wallet locked up and secure is in your home. Get a fireproof, waterproof safe and put your hardware device, one of your hardware devices, inside of that storage. The second place that we typically recommend, or that we personally use, is a bank safe deposit box. Make sure it's a bank that you feel will be here for a while. In fact, I personally have not gotten to this stage yet, but work with some people, and one of their safe deposit boxes is overseas. Actually, a couple of them are overseas. So we have one client who uses a bank out there in Cook Island and another client who uses a bank out there in Dubai. So they're really diversifying from a geographical standpoint to, again, minimize any risk, because ultimately myself and a lot of people who we work with, we look at Bitcoin as a hedge against the system. So if Bitcoin is a hedge against the system, we don't want to put all of our eggs into the system. Obviously, we want to have some convenience and make sure that some things are stateside so that we can still access our assets, but we don't want to put all of our eggs in the same basket that we're trying to hedge against. So there you have it. That's the 3-3-3 rule. 3 devices, 3 people, 3 places. Okay. Now that's keeping it secure. Now the next phase is actually one of my favorite portions of the system. This is established legal protection. This is what really helped me start to rebuild my Bitcoin stockpile. And I say rebuild, you'll have to listen to some more of my story in order to figure out the details with that. But legal protection, meaning that we have established a will or a trust. I don't speak too much about wills because they don't really protect assets. I love talking about how trust can serve as a really powerful mechanism to protect your Bitcoin from lawsuits, from creditors, from judgments, from divorce, from even from internal threats, incompetency from heirs, incompetency from yourself. Because what happens is you end up giving it a structure. And when you treat it like it has a structure, you respect it more. And when you respect it more, you're much less likely to actually lose those coins. So I found that works super well by putting your Bitcoin inside of a trust with some very clear rules, and essentially turning that trust into a family bank that passes down from generations. What that's going to do is keep you out of court when and should you pass away. It's going to keep your family out of court so they can just assume those assets. And in fact, what we really love to do is put rules and guidelines into that trust to give guidelines on what that Bitcoin can actually be used for, because we don't want to just pass Bitcoin to our heirs and they go spend it all willy-nilly. No, we're planting seeds for our children's children. So in fact, one of the major provisions that we include in our trust is we make sure that you can only borrow against that Bitcoin. We don't dish it out. There's no withdrawals of Bitcoin. If you need something, the trust is designed to take care of the beneficiaries. But if the beneficiaries need cash or capital, they can borrow against the Bitcoin, and it has to be for a reason. It has to be for something that is going to produce more cash for the actual Bitcoin trust itself. Okay, so if you guys don't have a trust, I encourage you to get one. It's a super powerful mechanism to protect your Bitcoin and make sure it does last for several generations. A trust is how the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Mellons, the DuPonts beat that whole third generation curse. If you guys don't know, the third generation curse is that typically most wealth is destroyed by the time it reaches the third generation. All of those families I just mentioned, they beat it, and the way that they beat it was having powerfully constructed trust. All right. Now, moving on, ensuring access. Ensuring access is all about making sure that your beneficiaries have access to your The best way to do that is by making sure that you have some solid documentation, meaning that you have an emergency contact sheet, you have an inheritance checklist, you have an access instruction sheet, you have a beneficiary tracker sheet. You have a lot of documents that leaves no stone unturned for anybody to make sure that your Bitcoin gets exactly where it needs to go and make sure that the people who need it can actually access it. And it's redundant so that if a portion of that system has failed by the time you pass away or something, it has already compensated for that, so that again, your Bitcoin is never lost. Our goal is to help with this system is to make sure that we never lose a single Satoshi. And that's why I'm giving it to you guys. So the final piece of this KEEP framework is actually plan for the future. We want to plan for the future. And when I say plan for the future, we want to make sure that we actually activate the Bitcoin. A lot of people believe in Bitcoin, and obviously the ecosystem is still developing, but a lot of people simply hold Bitcoin and never do anything with it. Meanwhile, Michael Saylor is over here with a whole money printer because he activated his Bitcoin. So we want our Bitcoin to be activated. It may not activate this year, we may not activate it next year, but at some point we want to start leveraging those holdings. We don't want to spend them, we want to borrow against them, and we want to use those to go and purchase more cash flowing assets, or maybe we lend it out in order to generate some cash flow or something, to make sure that we build an entity that has a structure around it so that our family can survive off of it. And especially in these uncertain economic times, we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't want to put our family in any bad situation. We want to give them as much of a leg up as possible without handicapping them and without overdoing it, giving them access to too much money, and then they go down some bad place, right? So there you have it. That's the KEEP framework. Keep it secure, establish legal protection, ensure access, and plan for the future. Again, the link below is completely free. I got this whole framework mapped out for you guys. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer. If you have any feedback on this framework, if you find any holes or you find any gaps, I'd love to talk to you about it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you on the next video.